Jai Hind, I, Brigadier Hemant Mahajan, welcome you to another session on Facebook. What we are going to talk today is India's water security. India's water security has two dimensions, the internal dimension and the external dimension. Both deserve equal importance. Today, we will focus ourselves on the external dimensions, meaning rivers which originate out of China or Tibetan Plateau, out of, let's say, Nepal, Bhutan, etc., their water coming inside and its effect on our security. At times, an enemical country like Pakistan and especially China can use water as a weapon also. So therefore, it is important to understand all these dimensions as to what China can do if it wants to use it as a weapon. Can it use as an environmental weapon? Sometime back, we had landslides and snow avalanche in places like Uttarakhand and all. Was it a natural disaster or was it a man-made disaster by China, etc.? Many issues like these we will talk about. But what I will do now is initially to start off with, I will give you a very brief presentation just for 5 minutes on certain important aspects of water security. And then we will speak to General Chaturvedi, who is an expert on this subject. And I'll, of course, reintroduce you again to him. He's a highly qualified person who's written a lot on these issues. So initially, just a small presentation on what is water security all about. Very, very briefly, and then we will come down to discussing some of the important issues. So I hope you can see my presentation. Water security is a very important facet of our national security, and it is as important as food security, let's say energy security, let's say environmental security. We have internal security issues, we have external security issues, so on and so forth. So very briefly, I'll tell you about it. Okay, look at this water. Today, 70% of our earth is of water. You have the sea waters, you have the river waters, etc. Look at the earth surface. 70% is water and just 30% is land areas. Very briefly, if you divide the water, you have the oceans, 97%. You have the glaciers, which are 2%. Rivers and lakes, barely 0.3%. Okay, so there is not there is adequate water that we have on this planet. However, this somehow the level of water is such, or requirement of water is such, or the availability of water is such that some areas get drowned with waters. And what is shown to you, those are the areas where there's excess of water during rainy seasons, during flood seasons, etc. But other areas, there's a water scarcity. And our very honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Abdul Kalam, had spoken a lot about water security. He was one person, a scholar soldier, who had spoken about many aspects of national security, and he had talked about the water security also. What he talks about drought, what he talks about flood, etc. is well known to you. So he said, we require a water mission. That means whatever water we have, it must be used properly. So therefore, what we today are going to talk about is there's the population growth, there's the economic growth, there's the rapid urbanization, and there is a scarcity of water, which is what creates a problem for you. So therefore, we have to ensure that we use this water properly. So therefore, how to use this properly? Very briefly, these are the important issues that we'll talk about. And the most important part is the nation has gone in for a water policy. So we'll very briefly analyze it, and then we'll talk about how water can be used as a weapon and how you can utilize the water more efficiently. So what is water security? It is basically to ensure, that you get good quality of water for whatever type of uses that you want to put it up to. So this map basically shows you areas which are stressed and areas which are not. And if you look at the Indian map, it shows you that there is a water stress. There is a problem, and India as a nation must ensure that we preserve our water properly. This map also shows you as to how much water we are withdrawing from underground. This also shows you as to how the population is going to increase. There are three case studies. In all the case studies, the most important point is that there is going to be a shortage of water. Look at this graph. I'll not get into too much of detail. I'll not get into how much of water is available. But what is important is to understand that there will be a water scarcity by the year 2025. This was the United Nations report. And things, instead of improving, are only getting worse. Have a look at Asia and have a look at China. China, there's a very serious problem. So therefore, we had a national water security, which talks about need of water for drinking, for irrigation, for hydropower, ecology, etc. And it's a well laid out policy. And there are many ministries which are responsible for water management in our country. These are shown here. It talks about as to how much water India has. We have 13% of our land in which we can grow something. And 4% of fresh water comes to us every year through rainfall. So therefore, this policy was drawn: water resources planning, water allocation planning, water project planning, groundwater, drinking water, irrigation, etc. So it is, I'll not get into too much of the theoretical part of it, but important issue is that we have to realize that we have a crisis which is coming in a short while. Can water be used as a weapon? This is what the Vice President of World Bank had said, and it is turning out to be true, especially when we have an inimical neighbor such as China. Now today, there is an extreme shortage of water. When we talk of water, we refer to river basins, etc. We talk about how the water is shared, etc. So I'll skip all this portion and I'll straight away come to India-Pakistan water sharing arrangement. There are a large number of water sharing arrangements. I'll not get into the details, but what I will do is, we will, with General Chaturvedi, we will try and analyze as to what this water sharing treatment means. We'll analyze, have we given too much of water away to Pakistan? Is there a need for stopping water getting into Pakistan through our areas so that our population gets water, etc.? So all these issues we'll talk about. Now, Bangladesh also keeps on complaining to us that we are not giving them enough water. Farakka barrage was, they were very sensitive about it. So will we be able to give enough water to Bangladesh? Because they are the lower state, lower riparian states, rivers flowing out of India going to Bangladesh. Indo-Nepal, especially the Kosi River, Mahakali, Gandaki, etc., they create a very serious problem of floods in Bihar and other areas of Uttar Pradesh. So therefore, how do we tie up with Nepal? Bhutan, we have a treaty. The Sino-India is a very serious issue. We will talk about it definitely in the next part of our presentation. So how should you distribute water? How does water get precipitated? Many issues are there like that. So basically, we have to have a cooperation between the states, between the basins, between the countries, etc. We have to improve our efficiency of irrigation. We have to carry out a lot of resettlement, etc. So these are all issues we will talk about when I speak to General Chaturvedi. So what I will do is, this aim of this presentation was to give a very brief overview of what is water security all about, and very briefly tell you as to what is the situation at world level, what is the situation between us and Pakistan, us and China. And now we will focus more upon analysis, for which I will reintroduce General Chaturvedi to you. He had come to our session last time, and the response to our Facebook Live and the YouTube Live was excellent. A lot of people had written good comments about what we did last time. And last time we had focused on sports, in which India had the best ever performance in Olympics in last 75 years since independence. How did we get that success, etc.? We had spoken about it. And this subject was immensely appreciated. Now we will today talk about water security. And when I speak to you about General Chaturvedi, all that I want to mention to you is he's received a large number of awards, AVSM, BSM, etc. He served on the India-Pakistan border, India-China border. He's had more than 38 years of service in the army. He's from the officer from the engineers. He's technically highly qualified, having been to the IITs, etc. He's actually a scholar soldier, you know. He's done a fair amount of writing work, a fair amount of speaking work. And he had sent me certain references, the articles which is written on issues related to water security. And I intend sharing this article one after another on our Facebook page so that others can benefit from what he's written there. And it is immensely sensible. A large number of articles is written on the subject. So now to start off with, I want to talk about water security with external dimensions. And I want to talk about China, because China, I have always considered it to be enemy number one. And I want to tell our viewers here that Tibetan Plateau, which many of our rivers originate from there, especially Brahmaputra, which is called Yarlong Sangpo in China. And China is building a large number of dams there. It also has plans to divert these waters of Yarlong Sangpo or Brahmaputra towards the drought-prone areas of China at a place called Great Bend. I thought I could show you that that Great Bend area also. Unfortunately, my presentation somehow I missed on this area where they intend building a dam. If the dam is built, what effect it will have on us when there is a water shortage, especially after the floods are over or when the snow melting is stopped? Will it create a water security problem for the state of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, and of course downstream we have Bangladesh, where all our river water goes into Bangladesh also? We'll speak about all these issues. To start off with, I want to ask General Chaturvedi that with respect to China, long time back, or I think few years back, we had signed a treaty with China, and we had said that whatever water flow is there in the Chinese water basin, they will regularly feed us with information so that we build up a database as to what is the availability of water in the Brahmaputra basin during summer months, during winter months. So it helps you to carry out a good appreciation of availability of water during various seasons. Are the Chinese adhering to it? Are they providing us with adequate data? Or are they behaving in an irresponsible manner as they always do? Because recently there was an article in which 5 or 6 instances were given when a lot of things that happened in Uttarakhand, it happened in Himachal Pradesh, it happened in Assam. Some floods took place, some water shortage took place, and a lot of people attributed it to the Chinese mismanagement of water. So over to General Chaturvedi as to how do we look at the whole problem and how China is behaving right now. What do you think it will do now? And what do you think we should do to counter the Chinese designs? General Chaturvedi.
Thank you for a good introduction. And firstly, let me just place it on record. But a short answer is that they are not adhering to the treaty they did with us in 2006. That is called ELM. And in that, they were sharing the data with us. And after Doklam incidents, they have stopped sharing with us. Surprisingly, they are sharing it with Bangladesh, but not with us. So that is one part of it. Now, as far as interdependence is concerned, there is another treaty which is of relevance. That is UN Convention of 1997 about the trans-border rivers. And China obviously is not a signatory to it. And with the impunity they go about flouting it. And as far as our connection is concerned, what you have said about the Holy Ganga incident, yes, there is a possibility that they may have caused, because earlier they have caused it in Parichu in 2004 and 2000, in both the years, that they did after heavy rainfall, a lake was formed. They blasted it with some nuclear device or something, and the whole lot of water came. Luckily, we had made this Gobind Sagar Dam of Bhakra. So that's why we could absorb that kind of a water flow. Otherwise, cities like Ludhiana would have been underwater. That is a kind of fury with which this Parichu water came. And so that is one it is. Now, as far as sharing rivers, because now since we share, starting from left, it is Indus, Satluj, then coming down to central sector, Karnali, which we call Ghagra, then Kosi and Gandaki. And there are about 6 rivers, which are actually tributaries to Ganges. And incidentally, maximum water in Ganges is from Karnali, which we call Ghagra. Then further going up, it is Yarlung Shangpo, which we call Brahmaputra, after Dibang and Lohit join it in our area. Then there are 3-4 more rivers, two towards going China, that is Yangtze and Hwanghae, and two going to Myanmar, that is Irrawaddy and Salween, and one going, which is about 6 countries, and that is Mekong. So, and it is not only that we are suffering on account of China, it is other countries are suffering equally, as during the question answer it will emerge. So that is what it is. And they are with impunity stealing water. And I think somewhere you had mentioned that they are trying to divert the water. Yes, indeed they are trying to divert the water, both from Indus and Brahmaputra, that is Yarlung Shangpo, to take it to, of all places, this Xinjiang, because Xinjiang has got more surface area and less watering capability, irrigation capability. So to match that, they want to take and make a more than 1,000-kilometer tunnel, which I don't know when and this is their dream right from King Dynasty. That is 19th century onwards, they are having this dream, but they didn't have money, but now probably they have money. So they have started going. We will talk about it a little more in detail as we go along.
Yes, what I want to tell you is, before we talk about Brahmaputra water coming into India, I want to mention 2 incidences for our viewers. One was about a few years back. Suddenly, the main river of Brahmaputra, which enters our area, it is called Siang River. It enters into our country at a pass called Kepangla. And I have had the opportunity of serving there for 3 full years. So 2 days, suddenly the water in the Siang River stopped. In the whole history of Siang or Brahmaputra, water flow has never stopped there. The water stopped. Just imagine, and a river which water was flowing all these years, it suddenly stopped. And then after some time, there's another incident in which a lot of muddy water started coming, especially cement, etc. So it was believed that Chinese tried to find out if you can you stop the water. Chinese have built a large number of dams on there. Some numbers are quoted between 25, 26, etc. You know, they of course claim that it is run-of-the-stream dams. You know, meaning the water is just stopped temporarily and then it flows back into the river basin, etc. And these are for producing electricity. But nobody requires electricity in that area. So what I want to tell you is it being used as a weapon. And you talked about Parichu. I just want to tell our viewers that there was a sudden flood in Himachal Pradesh. There was a flood in Uttarakhand. And it was believed that the Chinese were trying to play an environmental weapon with us. They tried to do artificial cloud seeding. They tried to, in fact, it is said that the avalanche which came down in the month of February this year, it came because of Chinese, you know, and we had suffered a lot of things. While we don't have adequate data to sort of prove it, but I'm sure the government has gone into it. So can you just throw some more light on the weapon aspect of it?
Yes.
Do we have adequate data? And if you have to prove that Chinese actually utilize weather as a weapon, Chinese utilize artificial seeding as a weapon, Chinese utilize flood as a weapon, Chinese utilized, other weapons. So if you have adequate data, then can we go to the United Nations to say, please do something about it, and also form an alliance with those countries that you mentioned, the countries in Southeast Asia, especially Vietnam and Thailand, Mekong, etc. So can we build up an alliance of countries which are suffering because of irresponsible behavior of China? General Chaturvedi.
Actually, Hemant, there are 3-4 things we must take into account. One, you mentioned about that water suddenly in Pasighat reducing and it is becoming muddy. And they gave some silly argument that there was some earthquake, and there was no earthquake. There was no data to support that. There's a place called Nuxia. From there, this data they used to give us, but post-Doklam, they have stopped doing that. Now, it is believed that there's a tributary to Brahmaputra called Xiagbu, which is there in Tibet itself. They stopped the water, and that is how Siang, the water stopped. Also, there are a lot of industries they are coming up, and because of that, that pollution water is coming down. China itself is having a very major issue about water, and whatever the number of dams they have created in their own country is all the word put together dams is more than that in China. That is the kind of thing they have done. And so they have got their issues with respect to their own problems. Now, they are making another dam, which is very interesting in Medog at Nyangchi, which is 60 gigawatt. We'll talk about it a little later, but I'll just confine myself now to weaponizing part. Now, post-Parichu incident, India demanded that we should be allowed to visit the place where which they said that there was a lake and which they, got overflown or something, they refused. So even when they were making that Zagmu Dam, when Brahmaputra, that water they were stealing earlier, we asked and initiated that there's no dam. But in Kathmandu conference in 88 or something, finally they succumbed and they agreed, yes, we are making. So China, expecting China to speak truth is like asking for a moon. Yeah. So they are doing this kind of a thing. So they can use, and the Dholi Ganga is that cloud seeding, excessive cloud burst, then collecting water and releasing it at will. Yes, they are quite good and quite capable to do that. And though no confirmed evidence is there, but there is definitely a issue. Recently, what they did in Mekong, they started Zazong Kar. There was a place in Zazong Karke place hai. Wahan pe they stopped this water. So from 1700 cusecs, they brought it down to 1000. They have, so they are trying all this. They have made 11 dams on Mekong. So that itself is a very major issue. And suddenly what has happened in lower Mekong region, there's a drought. And they are saying, in drought, hamare yahan bhi ho gaya, which was a hogwash, because 11 dams, they have stored all the water. So China is doing this kind of a thing quite regularly. And we can talk a little more about these things.
Yeah. No, I want to just highlight one issue. This Monday, an historic sort of occasion was there when our Prime Minister for the first time spoke in the United Nations Security Council, and he's raised two issues. One which is going to be done a bit later. We are going to be president for about 1 month. That is what comes to us in turn. And United Nations Security Council, for the information of our viewers, is the most powerful body of the United Nations. 15 members, 5 are permanent, 10 are temporary. We are the temporary members. We are going to be there for 2 years. And the subject that he chose on Monday was maritime security, or call it maritime policy, or call it maritime strategy. And imagine, up till now, all the nations had tried to bring up this maritime policy, because, United Nations Convention on Laws of Seas lays down as to how the water of seas should be looked at from the point of view of legality. And it lays down from the baseline up to 12 nautical miles is your area of what is called the territorial waters. Then you have the up to 200 nautical miles exclusive economic zone, and this up to 350 miles extended exclusive economic zone. And the remainder sea belongs to whole humankind. But what I want to tell you here is, India chose an issue which concerns everybody. And for the first time in the history, whatever Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi said was passed unanimously. It was a big snub on China. Now, coming back to our water issue, now can we raise this issue of water security, the rights of upper riparian states, the rights of lower riparian states? क्या हम ये जो अलग अलग देश है साउथ ईस्ट एशिया के, इनके साथ एक अलायंस तैयार कर सकते हैं? क्योंकि जो प्रॉब्लम हमारी हो रही है वही साउथ ईस्ट एशियन नेशंस की हो रही है. अगर हमारे ब्रह्मपुत्र का पानी रुक गया था तो मेकॉन्ग का भी पानी रुक गया था. अगर हमारे यहाँ पे पानी की शॉर्टेज हो रही है तो वहां पर भी हो रही है. तो ये इस प्रकार का इश्यू है जिसमें बहुत सारे कंट्रीज इन्वॉल्व है. तो क्या ये भी इश्यू हमने यूनाइटेड नेशंस के ऊपर रेस करना चाहिए? क्योंकि ये एक जो पूरी ये जो तिब्बतन प्लेटो से जितनी भी रिवर्स निकलती है, इन सभी कंट्रीज के लिए ये एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इश्यू है, इंक्लूडिंग लेट्स से बांग्लादेश एक्सेट्रा. तो एक बार इसके ऊपर आपका ये कि हमारी क्या किस प्रकार से पॉलिसी होनी चाहिए? डू वी नीड टू बी मोर प्रोएक्टिव एज फार एज द वाटर सिक्योरिटी इज कंसर्न विद रिस्पेक्ट टू चाइना? जनरल चतुर्वेदी,
यू आर एब्सोल्युटली राइट. लेकिन वो एक हिंदी में कहावत है ना, जबर मारे और रोने भी ना दे. बिकॉज ऑफ देयर डीप पॉकेट्स, all these countries, he coerced them into accepting whatever he does to them. So these Laos, Vietnam has got show some spunk, but all other countries, Thailand and Cambodia, वो बेचारे चुपचाप सुन लेते हैं इसकी बकवास. नेपाल, Karnali, he has made a hydroelectric project and which is going to affect us. This Arun 3, which is for India, in Nepal we are making. The Arun, the Kosi, which is coming from there, he has made the hydroelectric project. So the water availability in central sector also will be reduced. Parichu based, I have already told you, on Indus also, he had made a dam at place called Ali in Nagari prefecture, and which is just across our Demchok. And there it is a medium-sized dam, which is going to become bigger dam. So now with that, even Pakistan is going to have a major issue. So it is the smartness of India, because India alone may not be heard, because I don't think Southeast Asian countries, they think as high of India to withstand China's pressure. But yes, together we can do it. But we have to diplomatic outreach we have to make to Southeast Asian countries and South Asian countries, so that even Pakistan needs to be told this thing. You will be surprised, हेमंत, आपको मैं बताऊं कि because of the Indus में जो पानी की कमी हो रही है, the issue is that in the lower reaches, 117 MA water should be there in that Kotri stream of Indus. It has reduced to 10 MA. So as a result, क्या हो गया कि उसमें पानी नहीं है, तो sea is ingressing. Sea ingress से जो उनकी शक्कर बोल, जो कि उनका basically rice bowl था, उसके पूरी salinity आ गई है. So they are having a major issue. So you have given a very beautiful idea and very good suggestion. I hope and pray that our diplomatic people, they take it up. And because we will have to generate consensus on this issue. And well, it can be done. It can definitely be done. And it is not only India, it is Bangladesh. You see, this Midok dam which he is going to construct, and through that in Yarlung Shangpo, the water would be reduced. Indian only 1 million people will be affected, but tens of millions because Jamuna is a major water channel in Bangladesh. So their problem would be tremendous. उनके यहाँ एक बहुत मेजर एरिया है जो मेघना जमुना का बेसिन है, उसमें वाटर की इतनी प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी कि उनका एग्रीकल्चर वगैरह सब हो जाए. तो एंड बांग्लादेश दैट्स व्हाई इज ऑन बोर्ड, दैट्स व्हाई दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू मच इनटू बीआरआई, बिकॉज बीआरआई में वो क्या कर रहा है, ही इज लाइक अ शाइलॉक कि आपको पहले कर्जा देता है, फिर लाइक अ शाइलॉक वो आपसे कहता है कि नहीं जी आपका तो खून चूसेंगे, चाहे वो श्रीलंका हो, चाहे वो साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज हो, चाहे अपना नेपाल हो, पाकिस्तान हो. सो ही डज दिस काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग. We will have to work out a collective. अच्छा, in this एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज मैं बताता हूँ. एक SDG 6 है, मिलेनियम डेवलपमेंट गोल 2016 में पास हुआ है. Water is treated as a human right. So I think if we take that approach, probably it will work better.
Okay.
Now, and इसमें एक और चीज मैं बताना चाहता हूँ कि भूटान इंडिया का जो मॉडल है, उससे भूटान has become middle income kingdom country. Now if and नेपाल इंडिया का जो है, नेपाल का जो पोटेंशियल है करीब 43,000 मेगावाट है. अगर वो इंडिया को पावर सेल करने लगेगा तो उनका इकोनॉमिक बढ़ेगा. तो ये हम लोगों को, अच्छा इसमें जो सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम क्या आती है जो नेपाल के साथ, हमारे वी आर नॉट बीइंग एबल टू कीप द टाइमलाइंस, चाहे वो पंचेश्वर हो, चाहे महाकाली प्रोजेक्ट हो, चाहे वो कोसी प्रोजेक्ट हो, वो सब डिले होते जाते हैं, जिसकी वजह से बाढ़ में हमें असर भी होता है. और सेकंड थिंग इज कि वो टाइम से नहीं होने से नेपाल इज आल्सो गेट्स पिस्ड ऑफ. दैट इज व्हाट.
I want to focus only on for about next 5 minutes on this issue of diverting waters of Brahmaputra into the drought-prone areas through that tunnel and through that best. Now there are a lot of people like Brahma Chelni and all have spoken about the practicality of doing it. You will in fact some people have been saying that the tunnel, the water has to be lifted by 150 meters, 200 meters, before which it can go by a gravity flow to the drought-prone areas. Secondly, you may have to dig a tunnel. So therefore, the Chinese have not signed what is called as the peaceful use of nuclear energy, etc. They want to use the nuclear power or peaceful nuclear explosion to dig tunnels, etc. Now, a lot of things have been written. So what I would want you to sort of tell me is analysis. Do you think this kind of a dam will be a possibility? Because with China, nothing is impossible. They built one of the world's largest dam called Three Gorges. And today, if you go on the media, there are very reputed analysts who have been saying that ये तो Three Gorges जो dam है ये कभी ना कभी तो टूटने ही वाला है. In fact, there are a lot of very series of TV reports, media reports saying कि चाइना में फ्लड की सिचुएशन अभी इतनी खराब हो गई है और इतना सारा कि ये डैम टूट गया, वो डैम टूट गया, वगैरह वगैरह. सो मीनिंग जब आप एनवायरनमेंट के साथ इस प्रकार से हैवॉक प्ले करना शुरू करते हो, यू ट्राई एंड डू थिंग्स व्हिच आर नॉर्मली नॉट डन without giving consideration to the ecological aspect, environmental aspect, etc. तो आप एक भस्मासुर को तैयार करते हो जिससे बहुत ही ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स होती है. तो थ्री गॉर्जेस टूटने वाला है ये मैं काफी दिनों से सुन रहा हूँ, लेकिन अभी तक टूटा नहीं है. तो मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहूंगा कि प्रैक्टिकलिटी ऑफ डाइवर्टिंग वाटर्स टू द ड्रॉट प्रोन एरियाज, इसमें इसके ऊपर आपकी क्या एनालिसिस होगी, क्योंकि आपने इसके ऊपर एक किताब ही लिखा हुआ है और ये किताब भी आप दिखा सकते हो हमारे व्यूअर्स को ताकि व्यूअर्स देख ले.
वाटर इज सोर्स ऑफ फ्यूचर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स.
या ये किताब थोड़ा और ऊपर करिए ऐसा जरा. हाँ, या अभी आप अच्छे तरह से देख रहे हैं. ये किताब आप जरूर देखिए कि इसका मतलब सब्सटेंस ये है कि इससे हमारा जो महायुद्ध होगा ये इससे होने की उम्मीद है. तो अभी आपकी कमेंट्स ऑन द प्रैक्टिकलिटी.
हाँ, ये जो आपने बहुत ही अच्छा सवाल किया है कि जो वो टनल बनाने की बात कर रहा है, आज की तारीख में दुनिया में जो सबसे बड़ी वाटर टनल है, वाटर सप्लाई टनल, वो है न्यूयॉर्क में 137 किलोमीटर की. चाइना की जो सबसे बड़ी टनल आज की तारीख में है वो 85 किलोमीटर्स की है. नाउ बट एट द सेम टाइम व्हाट यूनान प्रोविंस दे आर मेकिंग अ पायलट प्रोजेक्ट. देयर आर टू पायलट प्रोजेक्ट्स दे आर डूइंग. वन इज यूनान एंड वन इज ऑन इंडस टू तारिम बेसिन, एंड वेयर इन बोथ द केसेस in the Yunnan tunnel is going to be 600 kilometers long. So it will take time. You know that in 19th century, as I mentioned, the Qing dynasty, during that time also they tried to divert the water, but they did not have enough money and international pressure was very strong. Now he has become, with the impunity he wants to do it because money is flushed with money and he doesn't care for world opinion. So he will try to do that. Now that टेक्निकल पोर्शन एंड एनवायरमेंटल पोर्शन. फर्स्ट बिफोर दैट मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ. रशियंस ने गुड ओल्ड जब सोवियत यूनियन टाइम में दे ट्राइड दिस थिंग बाय डाइवर्टिंग द रिवर्स वाटर्स इन सेंट्रल एशिया. So as a result, the Aral Sea got totally dried up. Today it has become a very, I mean, which was a huge lake. Now it has become, which was a inland sea. Now it is a small chutput pani hai udhar. Now, it has got a tremendously, it has destroyed the environment. Now, in case if it diverts Brahmaputra's water, definitely, you know, even if he makes that dam, you know, that silt which comes, because these are glacial river, in that glacial river, the silt comes. And silt has got a lot of minerals, A, B, it consolidates the bank. Now, if this Medoc dam, with Nyanchi prefecture, he's trying to make that 60 gigawatt dam, or say Three Gorges dam and Zagmo and all those things. He has made, आज की तारीख में उसके वो more than 2,500 dams which are in various state of disrepair. So he has problems. There is no doubt on that. But at the same time, there is another issue with him, and that's why he's also desperate. Like we said that we are 4% water and 18% population. He is 20% population and only 7% water. Today, there are 22 million people in China who are environmental refugee because of the polluted water in 600 settlements. So his problem is tremendous. There is just no doubt on that. Now, in case if he diverts that, the entire downstream from Assam and then subsequently in Bangladesh, that is, you can say that eastern Bangladesh ocean will have a major problems. And so therefore, I won't say, because technically Chinese are strong. Not only Zagmu Dam has not gone, Three Gorges has not gone. They are saying that it will go down, but more than that is the environmental impact is very strong. And all these problems that dams going down, yes, that may happen some point in time, because Brahmaputra is a unexplored river. It is almost 8,000 meter, that portion near that Great Bend. There's a very major drop of almost 2,000 meters. So this kind of a thing, whether they will be able to do it or not, technically he has worked it out, but whether practically he will be able to do it is a big question mark. But Indus definitely he can, because Indus there's not so much. From Nagari he can just, the diversion to Tarim Basin can always do it. So Brahmaputra, he can make, he is 5 dams he's making. Out of that, 2 he has already made. Third is this Medoc Dam, and 2 more dams he's going to make. He will definitely reduce water availability for the lower riparians. And going back to first, that we need to form that alliance who are suffering from account of China's.
We have now last 5 minutes left with us. I would want you to very briefly touch upon this water potential, water available in Nepal and Bhutan. In fact, it has been said number of times. We had gone to Bhutan and they said that almost the complete North India can be provided with electricity by Nepal and Bhutan if you're able to dam these rivers. And simply because those areas, the areas are very suitable, mountainous area, so building dam is very simple and really cheapest energy we can have. However, while Bhutan has been cooperative with us, but as far as Nepal is concerned, at times there have been political issues, etc. So just tell us about the potential of electricity generation in Bhutan and in Nepal, and then we'll wind up the discussion.
30,000 megawatt is the capacity of Bhutan. And as on date, say about 1,485 megawatt we are drawing. And so balance, still we can work it out. Nepal has got a potential of 43,000 megawatt. And out of that, only 450 megawatts. So therefore, what we have got a tremendous amount of potential from these. You are right. So 75,000 megawatts is a huge amount. But there are certain things in South Asia corridor is happening. Like Bangladesh-India cooperation has, India-Bhutan cooperation is worked out. Nepal, I think Sher Bahadur Duba's regime has come now. And KP Sharma Oli, because he also had realized that China is not helping him. China is not helping him. And that's why he has also realized that although China is taking him on the garden path, but not much. So therefore, you are absolutely right that potential exists. Probability is, in case of Nepal, it is mired in the political problems. And I won't blame Nepal alone for that. We can discuss some other time the problems between India and Nepal. But as far as Bhutan is concerned, I think very, very steadily we are going, and we will get a lot of more power from Bhutan. And that is that North India definitely will be benefited. Not only North India, I think from there, because once the national grid fully gets functional, then this can be, the entire country would be benefited. Because 30,000 megawatt getting added to the kitty, and out of that, just very simply, Bhutan's requirement even today is not even 1,000 megawatt. So you will have very good potential, and that probability of 30,000 is definitely exists. And Bhutan has seen the advantage of it, that they are getting, their income is already become, say, middle income. There are HDIs which are proving that they are good. But it is Nepal which is still has to take a call on this kind of thing.
Yeah. I would like you to comment on 2 issues before we wind up the discussion. One is if the water availability in the Brahmaputra basin gets reduced, it is going to have a very serious impact on Bangladesh also. And I was talking to some people, and I would want your expert opinion on this. They say if the water availability in Bangladesh decreases, then there's going to be another serious problem called in the Sundarban area. The sea is already intruding inside. Because of global warming, whole of Sundarban is expected to go underwater in next 5 years, 10 years, maybe in a very near time frame. And then a lot of people there will get displaced, and 2-3 crore people, where will they come? I mean, the best guess is they'll come to India only, because yahan pe aao jao ghar tumhara is this kind of a vote bank politics is at its peak, So please tell us about less water coming into the Brahmaputra basin, its effect on Bangladesh, especially the seawater coming inside. That is one aspect that I would want you to talk about. And second aspect is, there are issues that if water gets reduced in those areas, even our areas of delta, this basin, Sundarban of ours, it will create a problem. Even that will go underwater. And second aspect I would want you to comment upon is because of this global warming, the effect on the glaciers which we have in Tibet as well as in our area. And then we'll wind up the discussion. General Chaturvedi.
There are two, three things in this. One is you have said that if the water gets reduced in Bangladesh, what will happen? Now, this Indo-Gangetic basin, it has got a soil chemistry where below about 60 meters, there's a very high arsenic content. Now, what is happening is Bangladesh population is growing and reduced water availability on account of many things. First is global warming itself is reducing the availability of water. Second is by this intransigence of China, water availability in Brahmaputra would be reduced. Third is if India makes Tipaimukh Dam, that will add to reduction. Then what we have done this Farakka barrage and we have taken out some water from Bhagirathi and Hooghly. So Padma, which is their main source of water, that also is reducing. Teesta is not reaching anywhere. So what we have offered that we can give Torsa water to them and that will augment Brahmaputra. But then what happens that less water, they are depending more and more on ground water. Now, groundwater extraction is resulting into a very heavy contamination. Today, about 83 to 86% of the Bangladesh water is contaminated. And that spillover effect has come in India also. Up to Savarna Rekha line, that is Jharkhand, the groundwater is getting contaminated. So that is one major issue if the water level is reduced. Second is that Sundarban areas, the less water going, fresh water going into it, the mangroves, they will reduce. And it has got, they will have very major impact on the ecology. And this is going to be and the third aspect is the global warming. What is happening due to global warming? There are two things which happen. One is that for 90 days monsoon period, rainfall is almost same. It is not that it reduces. That is how the IMD every year says that normal monsoon. But what happens? We have floods. The reason is that what should happen in 90 days, it happens in 9 days. And we don't have so much of, neither India nor Bangladesh, so much of storage capacity. India has got about just 130 days of water storage capacity. Only 8% of rainwater we are preserving and 92% goes into the sea. So global warming as it is reducing the availability and whatever is coming and the temperature rise will definitely raise the level and that lot of seawater will increase. So a lot of that fertile land in Bangladesh, in the deltaic region and Sundarbans, which will become saline. And because of that, it will affect the food security. So these are the three things.
All that remains for me now is to thank you for a very illuminating remarks on the issues of water security with respect to China, with respect to Nepal, then with respect to Bangladesh and of course Bhutan, etc. In the next part of our session for our viewers, I want to tell you is we will talk about again water security, but on that time we will focus on the internal issue. So thank you very much.
Pakistan.
Yeah, and of course Pakistan. Pakistan is a
very major issue.
Yeah, it's a major issue, and definitely waters from our side going into Pakistan, those 5 rivers, all those treaties that we signed over a period of time, they are major issues, and we must discuss all these issues for our people to understand that how serious is the water security situation in India. Because people must understand that water security is a very important facet of our national security. It is linked up to your food security. It is linked up to your environmental security. It is linked up to human life itself.
Health.
Yeah.
IMR and MMR. India has got very high IMR and IMR because of the pollution of the water.
Yeah. So safe water, safe drinking water, Jal Mission, etc., which government has started. We'll talk about all these issues in the next session. So thank you very much, General Chaturvedi. And I'm sure your book will be seen by many people, and many of them would want to get into.
It's available on Google. You can see Google my name, and then you'll get this book.
You'll get the book. Yes.
Which book depot? New Delhi. So it is available in market.
Okay. So maybe you can send me a link. I'll put it on the WhatsApp so that people benefit by the research that you have done. So thank you very much, General Chaturvedi, for a very enlightening session, and hope to meet you next week, same time, again on part 2 of our water security. Thank you very much. And Jai. Jai.
I can now